My name is Tom Stock and I'm the founder of Collidescope. We are an Essex-based non-profit that promotes diversity, inclusion and creativity from LGBTQ and other minority communities. We do that through holding many pop-up events, opportunities for anyone who is considered an amateur, maybe they call themselves that, or maybe a professional. Whoever you are, whatever your skill, we give you a space, we give you opportunity, and we give you this kind of freedom to offer your skills up to other people. That could be someone who is a singer, someone who does poetry, drag, somebody who is an artist and they want to talk about their process for their art, which is something that a lot of people don't really get the opportunity to do. Photography. We also promote all ages, so you could be 78 or 5 years old, and if you want to sing a song, come along. And what we do is we host these events all across Colchester over the year, and we just give people an opportunity to come together and share their talents. So I come from a place of privilege. I come from a working class family that had always accepted who I was as a queer person. And during COVID, it gave us all time to reflect and time to assess what we wanted out of life. It was a really kind of reflective moment for a lot of people. And what I found was that I was working and I was building other people's castles, and I wanted a castle of my own. So I moved to Colchester from Witham, where I grew up, and I found a wonderful job, and I reached out to my community and I thought, what's going on? As we all do, as a creative person, as somebody who wants to give back. I found that there was loads of little pockets, but there wasn't really anything that brought them together. And I thought, oh, there's something here, you know, why do I have to just be part of the book club or the photography club or the art club? Why do I have to see drag in certain spaces? Why can't I see them in different spaces? So I started thinking about what was missing, and I went to Colchester Pride, a fantastic organisation, and during Colchester Pride I had a stall and I created a piece of art with the community, and using people's fingers, they just painted whatever they wanted on a canvas. And I thought, okay, well, we've got this canvas now. It's a bit of a mismatch of different things, but it should be displayed. So I got in touch with the Colchester Library team, and they said, Tom, we'd love to display it, but actually in February, the coming February, we want to put something together for LGBTQ History Month, and that's every February. And so I said, sure, how can I help? And from that, we created the Collidescope project, which was a pop-up in Colchester Library, and we had local artists, poets, organisations all have displays in the space of the top floor of Colchester Library, and people could go and they could sit and read, or they could sit and create and just kind of be in a space that was representative of one community in Colchester. And from that I thought, oh, okay, maybe I should do more. So I got in touch with Patch, a wonderful local plant-based coffee shop, and I held my first event there in the Pride month in June, and I saw that there was a massive group of people that wanted to come out and share and engage and support. And from that, Collidescope was born. Within a year, I'd done numerous events across Colchester. I'd done lots of fundraising for organisations such as Open Road, the Outhouse, Colchester Pride themselves, and also Sens for homeless. My kind of motto is that, you know, we want to look after our own, but actually we're all affected by the same things. We're all affected by financial struggles, we're all affected by mental health, and it's all these kind of things that really link us as human beings in society. And it's really important for me that people have an opportunity to find the joy in those difficult times. And what I found with doing the events is people would come and they'd read poetry about traumatic experiences, but they'd also read poetry about their joy. People would sing and dance and perform music or drag or do some kind of performance, and it may on the surface feel like a happy song, but actually it's a song of power and hope. And it's all those kind of different types of people coming together in a form of a cabaret format that is really gives people food for thought and makes other people in the audience feel less alone. That's kind of where it evolved from. And then I kind of thought, well, actually, this is kind of a bit bigger than just the events I organise. How can I take things and make them bigger? How can I make it so it's something that people can really come together for? So that's when I registered Collidescope as a CIC, and so we're a non-profit, so all the money that goes into us pays the artists for their time, pays lots of organisations like the ones I mentioned to help and support people in all kinds of communities, and also gives people that are maybe feeling a little bit apprehensive about showing off their creativity, or maybe they feel like there's not a space for them to come together and to kind of support each other. So yeah, that's Collidescope. So recently we've held events at Colchester Fringe, Coda, Patch and the Headgate Theatre. We also have done pop-ups in the past with Curzon Cinemas, and we also do a lot of work with Dragonfly, the local bar that's recently opened that's inclusive to LGBTQ people. What a lot of people don't understand is that there's so much going on in Colchester, and you've just kind of got to know where to find it. And one thing we do as Collidescope is we give people an opportunity to support each other, but also branch off. It's all about community and coming together. And I think that that's really important because, you know, you could have your book club or your photography club, or in your case, your wonderful film club. But how do we then branch out and engage with other groups, and how do we support each other and nurture each other? And I think that's really important from my perspective as a local person. One of the things that's been really fantastic about the Collidescope project is that fundamentally we're focused on diversity, creativity and inclusion, and a lot of people feel that when you've got something that is specifically catered to, you know, say LGBTQ people, they kind of feel like, oh, that's not for me. But actually what's really surprising is the amount of people that have then gone to me after, and I could, when I say this, I'm not just talking about, you know, like a 16-year-old that's lacking in confidence and has poor mental health. I'm talking about a 78-year-old man who suddenly has discovered that actually they want to write poetry. And it's what's funny about getting everyone together is that somebody who's in the audience who's maybe only come there because their mum dragged them or because their wife dragged them, they come up and they go, actually, I've got this idea for a poem. Actually, I've always really wanted to do drag. And the interesting thing about that from my perspective as a producer and a creative and a campaigner is that I then go, okay, so here's 10 people that you can find on social media, drop them an email, follow them, support them, because again, it's the branching out, it's the roots, and it's the joy of somebody discovering themselves in a space that they didn't necessarily think they would. And so with Collidescope, what I've found is that we've got a lovely audience and they're always so supportive. And I always joke with them, and I actually take the piss out of them a lot for this, because we'll have somebody who maybe flubs something and gets their lines muddled and starts panicking and is like apologising on the mic. And they'll get a bigger round of applause than the pro that's come in and smashed it out of the park. And I do have a go at them. I say, look, we're supporting everyone, that's wonderful, but like, you know, fair's fair, you know. So yeah, so it's really lovely to see the round of applauses and the connections that are made in a room on a random, say, Tuesday, and the way that it sparks inspiration in other people. It's really fantastic. But we always say you don't have to come along to an event to get involved. If you follow us on social media, it's collidescope.uk on Instagram. You can email us, collidescope@mail.com. Collidescope is spelled COLLIDESCOPE. So it's the word collide and the word scope put together, because would you believe it? There's a million charitable organisations with the traditional spelling. So we thought we'd be different, but I think we are. I think we are. So since becoming a CIC, which is a community interest company in 2024, we've done many, many events across Essex. We popped up at 8 Prides which was a fantastic experience, just kind of seeing the communities in the different areas and seeing how important it is that people feel that they have a place to kind of express themselves in a unique way. We've done numerous events across Colchester. We diversify our venues each time, because what I've learned doing this is that sometimes you do have to do an event that's, you know, accessible by stairs, but then if you've got an event that is on a ground floor, you can be more accessible to people in wheelchairs, you can be accessible to people that maybe have certain physical needs, so I think that's really important. Also, the kind of spaces we go in, if a space is maybe a bit noisier, the quieter spaces are more acceptable to neurodivergent people, and I think it's a lot of things that on the journey I've been on with it is that that's really important to think about, because you can't cater to everyone all the time, but there should be opportunities where people can jump on board despite their personal circumstances. With the year ahead, we've got fantastic plans to do more prides. There'll be numerous pop-ups around town, around Colchester. We'll be at Colchester Pride again. But more importantly, which is what I love about the way that Kaleidoscope has evolved, I love the fact that people drop me ideas all the time. Or they say, hey, I'm a single mother, I love felting. Like, can I do a workshop? And I'm like, sure, let's do it. And it's, for me, it's not about the things that I think people need. What's really great about it is that they come to me with ideas and I say, cool, what did you see about this date, time? How do you feel about this? And it's kind of people coming together and collaborating. I use the metaphor of a supermarket. You know, people know where the supermarket is, but they don't necessarily know where the can of soup is. And so I just help them find their can of soup. And I think that's really lovely from my perspective, because I get to support people, but also they get to kind of use my skills as much as I use their skills for the entertainment of the events. So yeah, I find that really rewarding in that way, yeah. So from my perspective, in the last few years, I think Colchester needs to be more giving and more kind to each other. We found a recent uptake due to the cost of living crisis that a lot of people are happy to offer their talents, but what we've found is across the board that donations are not as available as they were before, or ticket fees or anything like that. People just don't have the free means. So I think that what Colchester do, and when I say they need to be kinder to each other, is that understand that and kind of look at ways that, yes, we want to keep the economy afloat in the city centre, but what we also need to do at the same time is offer alternatives for people that don't have that means. And I think that for me, because we do everything, all the money goes back into Kaleidoscope, I think we're quite apparent for that when, for example, when people come to me and they say, oh, Tom, I've got this project, can we do it? And I say, yeah, that's no problem, like, let's put it together and we'll offer each other's time for free. And I think that in order to sustain a creative environment, an art scene of any kind, that's something we need to be thinking of. I understand that things can't always be for free or low cost, but we need to think about where the money's going and who's making those decisions, because sometimes those things are going outside of Colchester, even though they're for Colchester people. And I would say maybe have a second think about who's already here and who needs that support before you perhaps go for the fancy resume or the more well-known organisations. So yeah, that would just be my advice, kind of, you know, do some community research, find out what's going on and look at those people and their needs. What Kaleidoscope offers Colchester is an opportunity for grassroots community talent. I think that obviously I know a lot of actors, I know a lot of drag artists, I know a lot of wonderful talented people in all different realms, and the same thing they come back to me is that I interviewed for that, I auditioned for that, and I didn't even get a try, I didn't even get a chance. And I think that that's something that is really sad, because it doesn't mean they're any less talented or any, you know, less deserving. What it means is that because they haven't got the right things on their credentials, because they are not seen in a certain way, perhaps maybe that other person is more louder and knows how to play the game a bit more, they're getting the opportunities. And for me, I don't care if you shout the loudest, I don't care if you are the most talented. Every lineup, when I put a show together, gives an opportunity to majoritively new people that haven't performed at Kaleidoscope before. I'll have my regulars that come back because crowd favourites are crowd favourites, but generally for me it's all about, as long as the lineup is predominantly people that haven't performed recently or they're new to performing, that's all about the community aspect of it, because somebody will see them and be like, oh, I didn't know they could do that. Maybe I can do what I want to do too. And I think it's that pattern of inspiration that just continues growing. So I'd love to see more opportunities for people that maybe don't have or have that right thing that organisations that have money and influence look for. Yeah. So for anyone that is struggling or wants to show off their talents, but maybe they don't have the confidence, I would just say to you, did you wake up today? Did you get dressed today? Did you do some of the things you were meant to today? Well then, if the answer is yes or no, you're still here. And I would say tomorrow, you can say, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. I'll write that poem tomorrow. I'll do my drag tomorrow, whatever it is. And I would just say, tomorrow always turns into today. And so take your today and do what feels best for you. But just sometimes I would say just thinking about it is just as important as performing. It's just as important as writing down. And I would say take those baby steps, because you'll find that suddenly you'll be walking to a stage, hopefully a stage that I'm supporting you on, and you'll be ending your performance with a round of applause. And you deserve that.